Alright guys, it's occurred to me that I have never done a video all about cooking potatoes. I've done peas, I've done courgettes, I've done squashes, I've done cucumbers, I've done quite a few different things, never potatoes. So here we go with potatoes. I'm not sure how far I'm going to get with this because I've got a load written down here. How many I get through, I don't know. I'm going to start off with the basics, boiled mash, chips and jacket, and then we'll move on to the proper recipes, I suppose you'd call them. Put that under there so it doesn't blow away. A couple of tools, obviously the knife sharpener, different knives I'll be using, chef's knives, paring knives, Sankum knife, potato ricer for the mash, I'll show you that later on, and a classic masher, a couple of different peelers. Now, I like this one. This is OXO Good Grips. I like it because it's quite easy to hold. I don't know if you know, a lot of people don't know this, but on the side of every peeler, there's a little sharp, well, there's a little gouge, if you like, and what that's for is, if you've got a big eye in the potato, you can gouge it out. Is exactly what it's for. That one, the Good Grips one, is easier to use, I find, than this one, because it's on the side and it's not quite so user-friendly. This is a Scoville one. And then you've got the classic one, classic peeler with the string wrapped around it, the one you see in all the professional kitchens. Well, that's the tools, basically. Okay, types of potato. I got baby potatoes. I've got Maris Piper. I've got King Edward. And this is what they call in Tesco's an all-rounder. And I've got my own Condor here. Different potatoes do have different uses, but these all-rounders, that the supermarkets call them, they can be used for everything. Probably like a jack of all trades, master of none, but it will do. And on the Sainsbury's website, and I've nicked this off them, they've got a handy little chart, and I'll put it on the screen. Handy little chart to show you what type of potatoes are best in which situation. Basically, it's floury potatoes. They break up when they're boiled, so they're best for baking, chipping and roasting, whereas waxy potatoes, they're better for boiling and mashing and for salad. Waxy potatoes tend to be the newer ones, you know. Maris Piper, 3-star for roasting, 2-star for chipping, 1-star for baking, but King Edward, 2-star for baking and chipping. Let's see, so they're all different. You can get away with anything. The only thing I would say, if you're doing mash or proper boiled potato for your meat and 2 veg, do try to look out for a waxy potato. It'll do you better in the long run. And the other thing I'll do throughout the recipe, I will boil them only once. I'm only going to peel them and boil them once, so it could go on for hours otherwise. And I got a few of the essentials: salt, pepper, totally up to you if you use salt and pepper, and a few different oils. I got olive oil and I just got general cooking oil. Any other little bits and pieces I'll bring out as I need them, because as I found in the pea video, there was just too much on the table. I'm using my Luc Lacreuset pans and the induction hob that I always use, but you'll see that in a second. So I think the first thing to do is boil potatoes 2 ways. Okay, quick sharpen of the knife. I just do this once a day. Just habit. It's a good habit to get into. Give it a wipe. Right, peel potatoes. Peel potatoes, like I said, OXO Good Grips peeler, and I like to pull it towards me. Don't know why. One of those things, I suppose. There we are, nice and simple. Look. Just do that last bit away from me, so it's a bit easier. There we are, then no horrendous eyes on that one. Okay, quick sharpen of the knife. I just do this once a day. Just habit. It's a good habit to get into. Give it a wipe. Right, peel potatoes. Peel potatoes, like I said, OXO Good Grips peeler, and I like to pull it towards me. Don't know why. One of those things, I suppose. There we are, nice and simple. Look. Just do that last bit away from me, so it's a bit easier. There we are, then no horrendous eyes on that one. Okay then, peel the spuds. What we want is even sized chunks. Now the way I do this is like about a third the way along. Take that bit off and then cut this one in half. And that makes them about the same size. Okay then, peel the spuds. What we want is even sized chunks. Now the way I do this is like about a third the way along. Take that bit off and then cut this one in half. And that makes them about the same size. Let's do it from the side here. So about a third way along and then cut that in half. And this is perfect for the boiling, mashing, and if you're going to roast them as well. Speaking of roasting, I did loads of videos on roasting, so I'm not going to go through roasting. Now, when I say 2 ways to boil the potatoes, one way is to put them into boiling water and one way is to put them into cold water. If you're doing big potatoes, I'd say put them in cold water because they cook unevenly. You put them in boiling water, the outsides start cooking before the insides. If you're doing little tiny salad baby potatoes, you can chuck them in boiling water, it doesn't matter. But for this type, they go into cold water, about 1/2 inch to 1 inch above the level of potatoes. And as I said, totally up to you whether you put salt in or not. I'm going to put a bit in, maybe a teaspoon. And bring it up to the boil. Lid on, a little bit to one side, and I'm going to leave these 12 to 15 minutes. If it was the smaller potatoes, once the water was back up to the boil, it'd be about 10 minutes. So we'll be back in 12 minutes to check. Okay, that's 12 minutes. Let's turn the heat off so I can show you how I test them. Can you see that in there? Yeah. More important than the time is the texture. So if a knife goes in easily, there we are, they're done. Sharp knife, that's it. So we're going to strain those and get on with the rest of it. Bit awkward here. And there we have one batch of boiled potatoes. Just right, just right. And what I'm going to do now is move swiftly on to the mash while they're still warm. Okay then, I use a potato ricer for my mash. It's so much easier and you get a nicer mash. So what we do is just load the spuds up, 2 or 3, 2 will do, and just squeeze them out. And you get this lovely mashed potato. Now what I do as well, once it's warmed up, once the ricer is warmed up, I put the butter in here as well. And I'm going to put a little bit of butter in. Don't want it too creamy. Like one of those toys you had, Play-Doh toys as a kid, isn't it? Obviously it all depends how creamy you want this, how much butter you put in. Ooh. Right, this is the point where you can season to your heart's content. I'm using a little bit of salt. A little bit of black pepper. I'm not using ground black pepper, just one out of a pot. And my key ingredient, what I love to put in is, if I can open it, mustard powder. About 1/2 teaspoon. Gives it that little kick. Right, give that a good mix in. Okay, oh, you smell it. I love the smell of mashed potato. I'm only going to put a little dollop there, just to show you how creamy it is, look. Perfect. Well, it's mashed potato, guys. Right, you can add milk. I don't, but if you are one of these milk-adding people, why not try Greek yogurt, or even better still, a bit of creme fraiche. Brings a whole new level to it. Right, I'm not going to eat any more of this, he says, but I want to save this for the next dish. Okay then, potato dumplings. We've got 4 mashed potatoes, 1 egg, gonna have some grated nutmeg, salt and pepper to taste, about 3 or 4 tablespoons of plain flour, and whatever you want to stuff them with. And I'm going to use little chunks of double Gloucester, my local cheese. So Here we go. The mashed potato is warm. You don't want it baking hot. You don't want it cold. You need a bit of heat to it. Help things to stir in a bit. Helps things to mix in a little bit. So in with the egg. That's my rubbish pile down there. A bit of grated nutmeg. Freshly grated nutmeg. You can use powdered nutmeg, of course you can. Got to watch your fingers with these microplanes, I tell you. This gives it a bit of I'd say a different taste, not a taste you'd expect in a potato. That'll do. What's that, about a quarter of a nutmeg? Save that for later. Salt and pepper to taste. I like pepper, so I'm putting a bit in. Yeah, and a bit of salt. Like I said, you can leave the salt and pepper out. It's all personal choice. Right, I'm going to mix these up. Oh, smell that nutmeg. Right then, now we put the flour in. Yeah, I think 4 will do it. 4 heaped ones. We'll mix this so the flour is just incorporated. You don't want to over mix it, if you like, because it can go a bit, I think rubbery is the right word, but they can go a bit rubbery. Just so there's hardly any flour showing. That's about it actually, guys. I put that one side of it, get the cheese ready. Now you can stuff these with whatever you want. Chunks of bacon, anything. The world's your oyster. How many are going to make out of that? 4, I reckon. So let's just cut 8 bits of cheese, little chunks. Let's put those to one side. Okay, just about boiling. Right, you want wet hands when you're dealing with mashed potato. So take a decent sized scoop into your hand and just form it into a ball. Like that. Poke a hole in the centre. Drop your cheese in and cover it over. Back to a ball if you can. And then gently into the water. And repeat. I'm using a spoon to drop them in because I don't want to splash my fingers with hot water. Okay then, as you can see just there, they're starting to float. So down with the heat a little bit. We want to be a simmer, not a boil now. And yeah, they're all popping up to the surface now. Well, that's it. I'm going to cover that and leave it for 10 minutes. Come back and check it and let them cook for another 10 minutes. So see you in a bit. That's 20 minutes, guys. They look just about done to me. So I'm going to take one out and sample it for you. Ooh, I'll take 2 out. Yeah, quite hard. Yeah, they are dumpling-like. So I'm going to put a little bit of, what's this here? Coronation mayo on one of them. You can put whatever you want on, really, can't you? And I got some dried chives. That'll do. Let's give it a go, eh? It's going to be hot. Oh, I'll tell you what. That nutmeg in there is lovely. Where's the cheese? Oh, there we are in the middle. Oh. Yeah, handy. Yeah, really good. That cheese has almost gone into the potato. I wonder what it'd be like with, say, bacon or lardons inside, or crispy, yeah, crisped up bacon. That'd be nice. Well, That's another one on my list. Jacket potato, baked potato, call it what you will. It's one of these cooked in an oven. Now, some say prick it, some say don't prick it. I would say always, always prick it because they can explode, especially if you've got a perfect skin with no blemishes on it. The steam's got to get out somewhere, and especially again if you're doing any sort of microwaving as part of a combination cooking or a preheating. So what I do, I get my knife and very carefully I just stab it over, I don't know, a dozen times or something like that. I'm not going to convince you to change your way of cooking your jacket potatoes, guys, I don't expect, but this is how I do it. I always put a bit of butter or oil. I only use butter for this one because it's nicely melting. Look at that. Ooh. Gives it a crispier skin. And I'm going to put that in the bowl there, because what I'm going to do then, after I clean my hands, is I'm going to sprinkle some salt over the top. And the salt bakes into the potato, lovely. So there we are, and that's how I do, that's how I prepare my jacket potato. Ooh, now that's going to go in the oven. Let's think now. 200 for an hour or an hour and a quarter. Test it with a knife to see if it's cooked as usual. Now if you want it super crispy, turn the heat down to 180 and do it for 2 hours. If you're in a rush, microwave for 5 minutes and then 200 Celsius for 30 or 40 minutes. I'm lucky my Panasonic oven in there has got a baked potato function where it does microwaving, ovening and grilling. So I get a super crispy skin in 25 minutes per, 25 minutes. I could do 3 spuds that size in 25 minutes. So that's going in the oven now. Back in a minute. Okay, then here we go. 1 jacket potato, 20 minutes later, actually 22. Oh, lovely. Now, loads of ways you can open this. You can cut it in half. You can put a cross on top. I just like to cut it a little bit. And give it a squeeze. This doesn't always work, but there we are. A generous helping of butter on this. That's going to sink in really quickly. And all I like on it basically is grated cheese or chili or creamed mushrooms, but it's cheese for today. That'll do for me. Right, here we go, guys. I love jacket potatoes. So simple and filling. This was a Maris Piper, this one. Hot. Brilliant. Doesn't get much simpler than this. I swear, every time I have a jacket potato, the taste always takes me back to the bonfire night and the village green where there was a big communal bonfire, and the following morning we'd all stick potatoes in the embers and an hour later we'd have a jacket potato. And it was all carbon on the outside, you know? Oh. Right then, I better get on. Okay then, triple cooked chips. Nice and quick this one, because I've already done a few videos on this. Couple of potatoes, water to boil them, oil to cook them in, potato peeler, and something to measure temperature with. Either a jam thermometer or some sort of temperature probe. Skin on, skin off, totally up to you. Skin off for me. I told you I wouldn't make you watch me peel them, I haven't. Up to you what size you want. Short ones, long ones, thin ones or thick ones. I'm going to go for medium. Medium long ones. About maybe a centimetre, yeah. You look at the potatoes, you think, they're not very big those potatoes, but you look how many chips it makes. Quite a few. Right then. First up, boil them. about ½ inch over the top of the potatoes. Bring to the boil for 5 minutes. Okay, that's 5 minutes. Yeah, they're soft enough. Don't want to really boil them dry. Don't want to cook them properly. You just want to soften the edges up a little bit. Let's get this out of the way a second. Drain these off. What do you know? Give them a rough up. Just gently. You can see the edges roughing up a little bit. Just a little bit. Okay, then get your oil up to temperature, however you want to do it. I'll do. I'll stick them in now. Okay, just a couple of minutes, just to get a bit of colour on them. Okay, that's about it. What's that, 4 minutes or so? Right, I want these to cool down now, so I'm going to put them over here, and I'll turn this down a bit, but I'm going to warm it up again in a minute. Right, at this point, you can let these cool down, stick them in the fridge, make a load more, stick them in the fridge, or you can freeze them. If you've got a party, a load of people come in, do a big batch, freeze them, and all you've got to do the following day is bring them up to temperature again, 160 in the oil. Okay, they're cool to the touch now, so let's crank the temperature up. Like I say, we're at 160. Okay, that's close enough. Let's get them in. We're getting there, look, the edges are going brown. That's about 3 minutes, 4 minutes. Well, there we are, that'll do. Let's let those drain a bit. Right, let's tip those out onto a bit of kitchen tissue. Get rid of that, because that is pretty hot. And it's got to be, hasn't it? Salt and proper vinegar. Salt and vinegar. Oh, melting the butter in my sandwich. Can't beat it, guys. Nice and crispy. Soft and fluffy on the inside. That's my lunch taken care of anyway. Okay then, a potato soup. And what's different with this one is we sort of fry the potatoes rather than boil them. So I've got 550 grams of potatoes, 4 medium potatoes. Cut ounces of butter, an onion, white or red, doesn't matter, bay leaf, a couple of sprigs of thyme, vegetable stock pot, we want 500 ml, that makes 500 ml, some milk, salt and pepper to taste. Now milk, if you're going to freeze the soup, don't put the milk in before you freeze it, and I'll chat about that in a minute. Right, yeah, first thing we need to do is chop the potatoes. And the same with the onion. Okay, about 2 ounces of butter. It's only rough. Okay, once the butter's foaming, a bit like that, in with the onion and potato. And give them a quick stir in to get them all coated with the butter. Okay, on with the lid and sweat it down for about 10 minutes. We don't want to brown them, a little bit of brown wouldn't matter. We don't want to fry them properly, we just want to sweat them down a bit. So I've got it on quite a low heat. Leave the lid open just a little bit, let the steam escape. Okay, that's about 10 minutes. And nicely sweated down, if you can see what I mean. They got a little bit of colour, but they're not all overcooked. So, in with the stock. This is 500ml of vegetable stock. I made it up in boiling water so it cooks a bit quicker. Get that up to the boil. That'll do. Lid on and simmer for 10-15 minutes. We'll come back in 10 minutes, have a look at it. Going to give it a good blitzing. If you're eating this now, you could add your milk, just a good splash, 2 tablespoons, 4 tablespoons, 60 odd mil. I'm going to freeze some of this. I'm just going to put the milk into my own portion at the end, okay? And while we're on the subject of milk, why not use creme fraiche or Greek yogurt? A bit of more creamy. Okay, now so that was simmered for 10 minutes. Blitzed within an inch of its life. You can make it as thick or as thin as you want, as chunky or as smooth as you want. I like it fairly smooth. I didn't put any milk in because I wanted to freeze some. Milk doesn't freeze very well in soups. It can curdle and go a bit funny when you defrost it. So this has got no milk in, but my own soup has got the milk in. About 60 ml was enough. And it made it into quite a thick soup. I've just sprinkled a little bit of mint on top. I'll tell you what, guys. I know I say this about my cooking, but that is one of the nicest potato soups I've ever had. Simple herbs, thyme and bay leaf, that's all it needs. A little bit of mint on top for decoration, and it's got a little bit of taste to it as well. It doesn't need anything more complicated. It's a simple soup, and it's a blooming lovely one. Just having a little bit now, because I'm having this later on with the a part baked. You know those crusty bread rolls you can buy that are part baked? Stick them in the oven for 5 minutes. We want to rip it open. Oh, That is a double diggy thumbs up. That's lovely. Okay guys, potato bread rolls, or is it potato rolls? You decide. 150 grams of mash, 170 grams of plain flour, 50 grams of wholemeal. If you haven't got wholemeal, 220 grams of plain flour, tablespoon of sugar, half an egg, some yeast, and I'll tell you about that in a second, a teaspoon of salt, and I'm going to put about a quarter teaspoon of bread improver in. I put it in with all my breads. It's citric acid basically, and it gives the yeast a bit more life. Right then, I went to the cupboard to get my yeast out, and I realised it's a bit out of date. Well, these two. This one ran out of date in January this year, so it's 6 months out of date basically. Yeah, and this one ran out of date. I'll find it. Come on, Steve. See, oh, there we are. October 23. Now, what you can do is a little test. Bit of warm water, bit of milk, bit of sugar, chuck some yeast in and see what happens. Now, this is what happened with the newer yeast. Well, like nothing. This is what happened with the yeast from October, and as you can see, it's fermenting lovely. So that's the one I'll be using, and that's the one there. Fast action dried yeast. 1 sachet or 1 teaspoon. So we'll get everything ready and start mixing. When we need half an egg, so I'll use the rest. Oops. I'll use the rest for an egg wash on top of the. I'll use the rest for an egg wash on top of the rolls. That'll do. Don't need that for a minute. Right, dry ingredients. Mix all these together. Tare the weight. Right, 50 grams of wholemeal flour, 170 grams of plain flour. Tare that. It would make it up to 220, I guess. Right, the sachet of yeast. Like I said, this is fast action dried yeast. Tablespoon of sugar. Teaspoon of salt. Always do your salt away from the vessel, because if you slip, you've ruined it. There we go. And the little bit of bread improver. You can smell the citric acid in it actually, just a little bit. Right, add all the wet ingredients now. So that's the butter, softened butter, 30 odd grams, half an egg. It's guesswork. There we go. And about 60 ml of water. There's 100 in there, so. And what we're after is a shaggy sort of looking dough for now. I'm not using a machine, I'm going to do this all by hand. Okay, that's that bit. Let's get your hands in there. It's quite a dry mix for now. See, and that would be called a shaggy dough. It's a little bit dry actually, just a drop more. It'll soon get wetter when the mashed potato goes in, because there's a lot of water in that. And speaking of which, that's about right. Yeah, it's about time for the mashed potato. So in with the 150 grams of mashed potato. Let's get, well, that's about as much use as the chocolate fire garden. Let's get in there. It's coming together quite well actually, but tell you what, the mash is a little bit lumpy, but I don't think that's going to matter because it'll make an interesting bread, won't it? Okay, into a rough ball. Not that it really matters. Ooh. We want that to double in size, so no good saying 1 hour. It's when it's doubled. So I'm going to leave that now. I'm not going to put it in my bread box. I'll put a link for that, whichever side it is. I'll put a link for that up there. It's quite a useful bit of kit, but it's a nice warm day today. It's not needed. Go in the greenhouse instead. That's getting spongy already, actually. So I'm just going to cover that with a tea towel and put it in the greenhouse. Well, okay, guys, that's been about an hour. And it's kind of doubled. It's not quite as big as I was hoping actually, but you know, it's got loads of stretch marks in it, and we got chunks of potato as well. So I'm going to make bread rolls in my Mason and Cash form. I hope it's going to fill it up actually. Send me loads of flour on the work surface because it is a very wet dough, and we're going to sort of knock it back a bit. Yes, that's knocking back lovely. There we go. Just 2 or 3 times. I want to get 7 out of this, so I'm going to put it back into a ball shape. I'm going to get 7 out of that. I'll do it, yeah. Put it into a log, that'd be easiest, wouldn't it? I normally do a rectangle and cut 6, or a round and cut 6 pizza slices. But I can do 7 like this, I reckon. Oh, that's quite nice and stretchy, actually. Right, 7. Roughly the same size. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That'll do. A big one can go in the middle. And a little bit off that one. Yeah, a little bit inaccurate towards the end, Steve. Right, so just form them into rounds, stretch them round like you would a normal roll. Just pull them under themselves, put all the joins at the bottom, pull it round, basically stretching the skin a bit, that's all you're doing. There we go. Where's the big one? That's the big one, that's going to go in the centre. Okay, then we're going to let them rise again for another 30 odd minutes. And we'll start cooking. God, that's bright. Right, that's been just under 30 minutes, about 25 minutes. So in the oven with these now, 220 Celsius, 20 to 30 minutes. You just see how brown they're going. Okay then. Oop, I need that. 20 minutes later at 220. Oh, they're coming out quite nice actually. Oh. Now, they didn't swell out as much as I was thinking they might. When normal bread rolls, they all join together and you've got to break them apart, but it doesn't matter as long as they taste all right, does it? Ooh, ooh, ooh. Yeah, it sounds all right. Ooh. I'll tell you what, I'm going to break the cardinal rule and I'm going to open one now. What is warm Steve out? Oh yes, the potato. It's going to be far too hot, isn't it? That cool down a little bit. Okay then guys, here we go. Very nice. Yeah. Well, for a no-knead bread roll, that is very, very nice. Hey, well, that's worthy of a photograph, guys. Ooh, okay then, guys. Potato salad. These are freshly boiled small potatoes, lightly salted water for 15 minutes. You want to get these processed while they're still hot. And what I'm using, a bit of sea salt, mustard. Now you can put anything you want in really. I'm putting some yellow mustard seeds in, black pepper, olive oil, lemon juice. You could use a bit of lemon zest as well. Greek style yogurt, and I've made up a herbal butter with chives, rosemary, thyme, spring onion. I was going to put garlic in, but I'm not going to. I did garlic last time, a bit overpowering. So what we're going to do is make a bit of room. What we'll do start off with is cut these up. They're a bit too big, so cut them into about thirds. It doesn't matter if they go all squishy because it... yeah, it adds to the excitement. I think I'll have to use something to hold these. There we are. They are nice and squishy. These were just lightly scrubbed to give them a clean, get any dirt off. There wasn't any dirt on them really, but little bite-sized pieces. Right, a little bit of oil to start off with. Extra virgin for this because it's not being cooked. I don't like using extra virgin when I'm cooking because it's just the smoke point's all wrong. Now a little bit of salt and pepper, like I said. Personal taste this, guys. I'm just using ordinary black pepper for this. A few yellow mustard seeds, like I said. A little bit of crunch, it's a bit unusual. Can't describe them. Yeah, why not? Lemon juice. I'm cheating with this one. If you do this while they're hot, all the flavours get sucked into the potato as they cool down. Right, in with the mustard. As much or as little as you like. That'll do for me. Having a barbecue tonight, so this will go well with the barbecue. And last but not, well, not last but least, the herby butter. Oh, it smells nice with that mustard. This is a Polish mustard, this one actually. Mostaza Senap, medium hot. There we are. Now you can leave it like that if you want, or you can make it a bit creamy. I'm making mine a bit creamy, so I'm using some Greek yogurt. Oh, that's nice. Oh. I don't know, 2 or 3 tablespoons. Let's see how it goes. I start with 3. Yeah. Oh, that'll be plenty. That'll be plenty. Well, there we are, guys. A simple potato salad, and I'm going to have a bite now before it cools down. Lovely. Sharp. A little bit of heat to it, and you can taste the herbs coming through. Perfect. So that will be alongside my hot dog later on. Nice and simple, guys. Okay then, Hasselback potatoes. Find decent sized potatoes. Don't want them too big. I mean, that's going to be enough. What I'm going to do is take that curvy bit off there. Right. So very, very carefully, watching your fingers, obviously. There we are. And the same with this one. This one's less curved. In fact, what I'll do with this one, I'll do it that side there. Okay then. So what we'll do now, let's put these out of the way a second. Concentrate on one at a time. Get your potato and put it between 2 chopsticks. And then very, very carefully slice through. I'm going to start there actually. Yeah, because that was going to come off. I thought it would. Right, 3mm slices. 2 to 3mm. What I'm going to do is slide the chopsticks down a little bit because they are tapered. Hard to show you and do it at the same time. Bit of tissue. The oven's preheating to 220, which may be a bit high, but we'll see. Lightly greased baking tray. Looks well used, this one. Dry off the worst of it. What I'm going to do for now is just gently oil it. Doesn't matter what oil you're doing, just to get a bit of colour on the potato. There we are. And just rub that in all over. A little bit of salt if you want it. I'm not going to bother for this one. Now what we do is, very craftily, we poke that bit there underneath. Okay. It should stay there for a bit, and this allows these slices to open up a little bit. Look, you'll see it better once we start cooking. So in the oven with that one, and then I'll make up a buttery wash. I'll make that in a minute. Okay, you can do basically what you want with the buttery coating. So I'm just going to put some butter in here, and what we'll do, we're going to nuke it in a minute. Don't want too much. It's only one potato. Right, I'm going to put just the merest hint of cayenne in there. So, that is far too much. What's that? It's 1/8 of a teaspoon. That's enough, that's enough. And some lazy garlic. There we are. That'll do. Right, I'll nuke that in a minute. Okay, that is 15 minutes. Very, very hot. Put him back on his little trivet, and all we're going to do is just try and gently Just tease some of these little slits open a bit. Yeah, it's cooking nicely. That right, and there's my little buttery wash with garlic and cayenne. So I'm just going to get that between all the cracks. Okay, back in the oven. Another 15 minutes, I reckon. I'll let you know. Okay, that was 45 minutes at 220. I had two basting sessions, one after 15, one after 30 odd minutes, and it's just about ready to eat. So let's get rid of this. No special accompaniments with this, just the potato and its dressing. Hot. Oh, bit of cayenne. Very nice. It's just, what do I call it? It's a fancy roast potato, I suppose. It's a little bit brown on the inside, you know. Yeah, it's cooked right through, that's for sure. Very nice. Another one for you. Okay then, fondant potatoes. Some people can make them, some people can't. Some say they're too hard, too soft. Follow my method, I'm pretty sure you'll be able to make some decent fondant potatoes. And to start off with, it's all about the potato really. You need a good, floury, starchy type potato. King Edward, Maris Piper, these are Maris Piper. If you can get nice long ones like that, you'll get 2 fondants out of each one. Otherwise, just use small ones and make 1 out of each. So a decent frying pan as well. This one I got in an oven up to 260 Celsius. We're not going to get that high, don't worry. So we've got potatoes, vegetable stock or chicken stock, it's up to you. A good sprig of thyme, big knob of butter, salt and pepper, and vegetable oil. So first up then, we're going to trim the potatoes. Okay, so what we do with the potatoes is trim the ends off first. And that's a bit of a funny shape one, that. So we've done it that way because we want to peel the potato with a knife. We're not going to use a potato peeler for this one because we want the cylinders of potato to be all about the same size. This is a bit awkward me doing this because I'm doing it so you can see. Right, a little bit there. Let's get that a bit more square. A few little bits at the bottom to come off, that'll be right. And then let's cut them in half. I'm just going to drop these into a bowl of cold water, about 5 minutes. Okay, that'll do. All we're doing is just taking some of the starch off the outside of the potato. And what we want to do now, we want to pat them dry. So we got all that effort to wash them, and now we're going to dry them. Okay, frying pan on. Get it at high heat. Ooh. Decent glug of, you want a high smoking point oil. Most vegetable oils will be okay, don't worry about that. Don't use olive oil. Olive oil's no good at all. Okay, stop myself getting splashed. There we go, they're cooking. You want to, if you've got a good size for potato, which you probably haven't, you want to put that down because that's going to be the one that's upwards when you serve them. give them about a minute and then turn the heat down. And what we're doing, we're browning the bottoms, which will be the tops. Okay, we'll turn it down a bit now. And just leave them till the bottoms go brown. Now, that's not brown yet. They're spitting well. Okay, off with the heat and drain the oil. Now, if you haven't used a lot of oil, you can wipe it out with a tissue. But I've used a bit too much here because I want to do it quickly. So I was going to put these on a plate very, very quickly and pour the oil away. I'll save the oil, don't worry. Okay, back in with these, and we want a big knob of butter in here now. And this is a big knob. What's that, about 30 grams maybe, a bit more? Big, big, big. And these go back in. I don't know if you can see it, but the top of the potato is translucent where it's been cooking. Right, in with the thyme. Let's get that cooking. Oh, the thyme butter smells lovely. Okay, we're going to keep on like this for a bit until this foam goes from being a white colour to brown. See, the foam's actually changing colour. Look, it's like a caramel colour now, which is what we're after really. A bit browny. Okay, then that's brown enough. You can just see it's going brown now. Right, in with 120ml of, now I'm using vegetable stock, you can use chicken stock. I'm going to do this carefully in case it spits everywhere. There's 300 in there, so about half of that. Yeah, that'll do. Okay, straight away now into an oven, 220 Celsius, 30 minutes, with fondant potatoes. And fondant means cooked in stock. So, here we go. Back in a bit. Oh, there we are, guys. They look pretty well done to me. Just going to see, make sure they're soft. Oh, yes. Yep. Right. Do not eat these just yet. They're far too hot and you won't appreciate the taste. Just a little bit of that buttery stock. And we got to do the little dots around the outside, haven't we? Right, they should have cooled down a little bit by now. Here we go then. Hope you can see me because that sun's just come out. Perfect. Right, lovely. Do it this way, you won't go wrong, guys. They are lovely. Oh, That is another double diggy thumbs up. Wow. Okay then, guys, I'm going to call it a day there. I just realised I'm up to about an hour's worth of video, and I've still got another 3 or 4 or 5 dishes to go yet, including this lovely one here, this au gratin, but that's for another day. It's amazing what you can do with the humble potato. And all the dishes I've done, the potato's the star. It's not blah, blah, blah with potato. It's potato with, you know. So anyway, I hope you like this one. Sorry it's dragged on a bit. I've had a few audio problems. We've had barbecues galore. We've had hedge trimmings and God, jackhammers out the front. And I just realised as well that my S21 camera doesn't like the interference from the induction hob. It's here, it's very close, and there's a lot of... Anyway, these things are sent to try us. Anyway, hope you've enjoyed it all. Catch you on the next video.